Okay, we've started the recording. Hi, Joe. All right, so for tonight's call, I want to welcome everybody. I'm Brooke Sloate. I'm the Director of Product Development, and we have our product knowledge training tonight. And we're going to start with a topic that is near and dear to, I think, all of our hearts right now, and that is DCM. So we have learned recently that letters like this are going out from veterinarians. And I'm going to read this to you. I'm sorry, it's like a copy of a screenshot, but this is a letter that has gone out from a particular veterinarian, and we think that there's more going out. And I want to read to you what it is that they're saying, and I want to talk to you a little bit about this. And this is about the topic of DCM. Okay, so what they say is what to feed and what not to feed your dog. We, the veterinarian, I want to make sure in case someone's joining late, we, the veterinarian, do not recommend feeding your dog any of the following brands, grain-free diets, or boutique brands, as these diets have recently been found to be linked to cases of canine heart failure, which is called or known as dilated cardiomyopathy, or as we will refer to it always as DCM, by the FDA. So they list 16 brands that they say stay away from. Okay, I'm not going to read those brands because I'm not going to give this any credit right now. They say, in addition, we do not recommend feeding your dog a diet with any of the following main ingredients. Diets with these as main ingredients have been linked to cardiac issues in dogs as well. The ingredients are lentils, legumes, potatoes, and or sweet potatoes. What we do recommend, again, this is what this veterinary clinic is recommending, to feed your dog. Unlike cats, dogs are not true carnivores. They require a variety in their diet to meet their nutritional needs. Therefore, an ideal diet for your canine companion will contain meat, grains, vegetables, and fruits. We suggest reading the label on the bag and opting for a dog food that is not grain-free, with a label that reads complete and balanced. And we recommend brands such as Royal Canin, Hill Science Diet, and Purina. Those are the 3 brands that they are recommending. These brands meet or exceed the AAFCO minimum nutritional standards and are backed by feed trials, quality control, and guaranteed nutritional analysis. And then basically they say for further information, contact your vet clinic, and if you want to discuss this more with your vet. Okay, so this is a letter that has gone out. Again, I'm sure there are more of them. Okay, so what I want to do is add a little commentary and explanation so that everybody understands what's going on and what we know and what we don't know. Okay, so let's just go ahead and start with DCM. So in July of 2018, the FDA began investigating a potential connection between diet and reports of canine dilated cardiomyopathy, or DCM, okay? Now, DCM is basically, just for your knowledge, a disease of a dog's heart muscle, and it results in an enlarged heart. So as the heart and its chambers become dilated, it becomes harder for the heart to pump, and the heart valves may leak, which can lead to a buildup of fluids in the chest and abdomen and cause congestive heart failure. Okay, so it's a disease of the heart, enlarged heart. Okay, now the alleged concerns are with dogs eating certain types of pet foods, dog foods labeled grain-free. That's the thing that they're going after in particular. Foods containing high amounts of peas, lentils, or other legumes, seeds or pulses, and or potatoes as their main ingredients. Okay, so they're saying that they have a concern with dogs either not getting enough taurine in their diet, or taurine is being blocked or not being utilized. So the taurine is either, they're not getting enough, it's being blocked by something and not getting into their system, and therefore it's not being utilized. So they need more taurine. The FDA requested consumers and vets to report cases of DCM because they started getting an influx, and it wasn't a lot of cases, but they started getting an influx of cases around this, a little before this July 2018. And now they have a hypothesis, so they want to understand more about it. So the question is, and this was on the FDA website, they said, well, why did the FDA notify the public about the possible connection if the agency doesn't have definitive answers? Okay, that was their question. And they said, while it's in the early stages of investigation, the FDA's Center for Veterinary Medicines, they call it the CVM, felt a responsibility to shed light on an early signal that we may have been made aware of and to solicit reports from pet owners and vets that may know of related cases. The data provided through the reports would help to inform the investigation. So they announced on July 18th this concern about DCM. They were asking consumers and veterinarians to send in more reports of any concerns or issues or of pets that had passed or have DCM, because they wanted to understand more about why those dogs may have had DCM, what they were eating, etc. So the FDA, that's the background. The FDA gave an update, and the update was in June. It was June 27th of 2019. And what they said was, we're still investigating. This is just an update. There are no conclusions that we found at this time. So the FDA believes the potential association between diet and DCM in dogs is a quote, complex issue, scientific issue, and may involve multiple factors, including genetics. What we do know is that between January 1st of 2014 and April 30th of 2019, so a 5-year-ish time span, 515 cases of canine DCM were reported, okay? Now, we don't want one report of DCM. We don't want pets dying of this disease. It's a horrible disease, and we don't want this. But let's put this into a little bit of perspective. There's approximately 90 million dogs in the United States. So this is 0.000005. I mean, it's a very, very small percentage of dogs that have been affected. Now, please don't get me wrong. We don't want one to be affected. But what's happened is there's a lot of fear. The FDA put out this announcement. They created a lot of fear in consumers, and consumers don't know what to do. And believe me, we've had more than our fair share of phone calls about this product or about this issue. Now, as I had said, and the FDA said, DCM is recognized as a genetic condition in dogs, typically large and or giant breed dogs, notoriously Doberman Pinschers, Great Danes, Irish Wolfhounds, and Cocker Spaniels, even though those are not really large dogs, and Golden Retrievers. So those are the dogs that it's most found in. So there are 4 theories about grain-free diets that the FDA is trying to investigate. So number 1, fact, taurine is found in animal meat. It's found in protein, okay? So they're suggesting potentially, or they're investigating, that we're not feeding enough taurine to our pets. So diets are starting to, or now containing more protein from legumes and less from animal sources. That's one theory. Second theory, dogs can make taurine on their own from, this is a fact, dogs can make taurine on their own from methionine and cysteine. These are the precursors of taurine synthesis, methionine and cysteine. So what they're saying is methionine, or investigating that methionine and cysteine are less available from peas, lentils, and chickpeas than other ingredients like poultry and possibly even grains. So basically, if more companies are putting more legumes and things like that in their diets, and less, which are less expensive, and more and less meat, which is more expensive, that might be the thing that's causing this issue about taurine. The third thing is that higher levels of water-soluble fiber put in diets increase taurine excretion. So everybody puts fiber in their diet. You need fiber, but they're saying, maybe the levels are too high. And they also stated that water-soluble fiber increases taurine oxidation by bacteria in the GI tract, reducing the taurine recycling into their system. So it's just basically passing through. Okay, so there's some more. So those are the 4 theories that they're actually looking at. More things that we know, more information that we know about DCM is that it's found more in male dogs than female dogs. They're generally 6 to 7 years of age. They're mostly fed dry food, but raw, semi-moist, and wet foods have also been represented in these 515 cases that the FDA is investigating. And in their update, the FDA named 16 brands. These are top brands that were named in the DCM reports submitted to the FDA. So these brands that this vet's office is saying not to feed are the brands that basically the FDA said not to feed, or that were most responsible. And it's purely because those were the brands that those dogs had, that passed away had been on. May have nothing to do with it, may have something to do with it, but may have nothing to do with it, okay? So let's see. Now, there are some quotes from the FDA which were very interesting as well. One quote, "At this time, we are not advising dietary changes based solely on the information we have gathered so far." They're still investigating, so they don't suggest that you change diets. Second quote, "It's important to note that the reports include dogs that have eaten grain-free and grain-containing foods, and also include vegetarian or vegan formulations. They also include all forms of diets, kibble, canned, raw, and home cooked. Therefore, we do not think these cases can be explained simply by whether or not they contain grains, or by brand, or by manufacturer." That's after they've told us not to eat these 16 brands. Also, of the things that were reported to the FDA, over 90% of the products were grain-free and 93% contained peas and or lentils. The animal protein sources varied widely, and many diets contain more than one protein source, which is quite normal. Chicken, lamb, and fish were most commonly reported, and they are probably the most common proteins to use. But again, no conclusions as to what is causing this occurrence of DCM in dogs have been made. There's no conclusions. The FDA is still investigating. So on the FDA site, one of their questions says, "Do I need to change my dog's diet?" And they say, "At this time, we are not advising dietary changes based solely on the information we have gathered so far. If you have questions or concerns about your dog's health or its diet, we suggest that you consult your veterinarian for individualized advice that takes into account your dog's specific needs and medical history." So they're basically saying, look, talk to your vet, and you guys need to make a decision together. Okay, so we often get phone calls and are asked, "Hey, look, my vet is telling me to switch foods from a grain-free to a food with grains. Should I do that?" Okay, and basically what we say is, look, since there's no conclusion as to these DCM cases in dogs, your dog's diet may not actually be a factor. There might be other things that are causing it. We just don't know yet. Remember, it's highly genetic, and the FDA states that as well, and any doctor would tell you that as well. So if you or your customer comes to you and says, "Hey, what do I do?" Well, they need to do what they and their vet feel is best, okay? Now, what we do know is that again, back to the sheet, the products, the brands that the FDA, or excuse me, that this vet clinic is recommending are Royal Canin, Hill Science Diet, and Purina. Well, coincidentally, those are the brands that make the prescription diets, and therefore they are the ones who are in the vet clinics, visiting them, selling to them constantly. So they're, highly relied upon to give updates and things like that to the vets. So the bottom line is, we're not in the vet clinics, so bottom line is, I can see why the vets are potentially putting something out there like this, because they're being told, "Hey, look, get off these grain-free foods." These companies don't make a lot of those grain-free foods, so there's a lot of market share that's been lost. But the net is that no one knows what the cause is. The FDA is doing an investigation and they have no conclusion. They started it in July of 2018. So what you can say when someone says, well, hey, my vet told me to get off this food. Okay, fine. If you want to get off a grain-free diet, that's fine. Talk to them still about pottery. So first of all, we do offer a nice selection of foods that contain healthy grains. Then that may be of interest to them. They're outstanding foods. But you can also tell them, if they're concerned about taurine, a little bit about what pottery did in response to all of this. So first of all, from the very, very beginning, we have always supplemented our foods with taurine because we make a claim contains taurine for heart health. When you put a claim like that on your package, that means you have to guarantee a certain amount that has been proven through research to support heart health, okay? And when we make claims, we go through very strictly through regulatory, and we are very, very cautious and careful about what we say, what we can say, and what we can prove and what we can't prove, etc. So we have always put extra taurine because of that claim in our food. Now, when this came out, when we learned about this back in July of 2018, it didn't take, I mean, I don't know, 30 minutes. I mean, within an hour, okay, we reformulated all of our foods, our grain-free foods, and added even more taurine, because the thought was, I mean, we had a discussion with our formulator, and he basically said, hey, look, if the issue is they're not getting enough taurine, well, let's give them more so that if some is bypassing their system, they'll have more in their system, they'll have enough. I mean, the bottom line is dogs can make their own taurine, but that was the idea at the time, and that was the only thing we knew to do at the time, okay? So we added more taurine, but so we have as much, or we have more than most that are out there, or at least at the time. I mean, we formulated immediately and affected formulas that were being made within a couple of days of that change in the formulation. That's how quick we did it. The main thing here, you guys, is not to panic. If you want taurine, quite honestly, you can supplement with pop pairings. Remember, taurine is found in protein. Pop pairings has a very high amount of protein, animal meat protein, really good freeze-dried raw protein. So sprinkle some pop pairings on if you want to add more taurine to the dog food. And basically all we can do right now is wait for more info from the FDA, because we don't know what we don't know. No one knows, what they don't know yet. There's no conclusions, and therefore no one knows how to act upon this at this time. Believe me, we've got our pulse out in the industry to find out what others are doing, even competitors are doing, to find out, what we all can do. We're all kind of in the same boat, okay? We will continue to keep you informed of the FDA's future findings. They're still investigating. They've given no time frame as to when they will have conclusive findings. They were actually supposed to come out with something in December. They were supposed to have another update in December, and it's now February and we've seen nothing. I just checked their website today. But when and if they come out with any decisive conclusions, we will adapt our recipes accordingly, okay? We want only the good, the health, for your pets, but the main thing is we just don't want you guys or anybody to panic over this, because there's a lot of fear out there. People don't know what to feed. And, this has just caused it's been very alarming throughout the industry. Now, as I had said, we have given you updates. We put those updates, the FDA updates, in the petPro FAQs. You can find those by going to your back office, click on the support tab, click on petPro FAQs, and search for DCM. You can actually search for any topic, but in particular, if you wanted to search for DCM. And there's also petPro FAQs on the app, so you can search either way. You can also go, if you want, to fda.gov, but there's like over 150 articles, so it's a little hard. So I've tried to make it easier for you guys. When they give updates, we put the updates in the petPro FAQs. You can read, copy, paste, anything. All I'm doing is copying and pasting what they've said, and then of course we'll give commentary accordingly. Okay, so that is what I have on DCM, and I'm just going to check and see if you guys have anything in the chat. If you have any questions, put them in the chat. Let's see. You are very welcome. Thank you for addressing this letter. I appreciate all you do. Thank you. Perfect. Okay, so I'm glad. I hope that this is helpful. I know I've gone over this a few times with you guys at various meetings, etc. But I think it really warrants. There's just so much fear out there, and I just want you guys to feel calm. I continue to feed my dogs grain-free. I just got a six Shih Tzu. Anyway, and I continue to feed them the chicken and sweet potato. That's 5 of them. That's all they've been fed since they've been born, and they are absolutely thriving. Absolutely no issues. I love my pets. I would not feed. I would switch in a heartbeat to another product, poultry product. But I believe so much in what I'm feeding that I want to give them the best I know to give them. I don't feel that there's a concern at this time. Okay. Again, very highly genetic disease. Okay. So let's go on to another question that was very interesting. We've been getting questions lately about goat's milk. And I wanted to explain a little bit about goat's milk to you guys, or just explain a little bit more, because there are probiotics, and great probiotics in goat's milk. The question is, does Gastro Pro Plus have similar probiotic benefits as goat's milk, and can they be given together? It's a good question. So fermented goat's milk is like yogurt or kimchi. It has natural probiotics, and very healthy and very good for you, okay? However, Gastro Pro Plus is much more concentrated and stronger than what's available in goat's milk. So you can certainly, absolutely feed both together if you want to, 100%, no problem. But if you were to choose one, if money is a concern, if time is a concern, if anything is a concern, basically, if you needed to choose, truthfully, the better choice would be Gastro Pro Plus, because it's going to be more beneficial to your pet overall. And again, nothing bad to say about goat's milk, but this has been coming up quite a bit, and I just would highly recommend that you guys talk about Gastro Pro Plus and the probiotics, the prebiotics, the digestive enzymes and herbs that are in there. It is a seriously phenomenal product. And remember, with the Gastro Pro Plus, the best way to give it is to undo the capsule. Even if you're giving an entire capsule to your dog, okay, not a half cap, but you're giving an entire to your dog or to your cat, unscrew the capsule and sprinkle it on their food. The reason for that is so that the Gastro Pro Plus can start working in the mouth, as opposed to having to go to down into the gastrointestinal system to start. It can really, really help. It's got a really delicious cinnamon taste to it, so pets generally love it. I haven't really heard anything bad about that. If you prefer to pill your pets, you can absolutely do this, but if you can, it'll just be more effective if it starts to work in their mouth, okay? Okay, here's another question that was very interesting. Krill oil has been coming to the surface, and people are wanting to know more about it, and particularly, they want to know what's the difference between wild Alaskan salmon oil and krill oil. What are they used for? And do we, just poultry, test for contaminants? Because I believe there was something put out there where krill oil, someone said in the industry that krill oil is better because it has less contaminants than salmon oil. So I'd like to address that, because since this is coming up and we sell salmon oil, I want you to understand, okay? So the short answer is that salmon oil and krill oil contain omega-3s, but they're different types of omega-3s. They're also processed differently, and they're used in different ways in your pet's body. So salmon oil contains omega-3 fatty acids. Krill oil contains omega-3 phospholipid. Phospholipids, I'm sorry. And salmon oil helps with skin and coat, eye health, heart health, brain health, joint health, and the immune support. Whereas the phospholipids in krill oil fight free radicals in the digestive system as well as help the immune system. So they just help in different ways. Now remember, fighting free radicals, that basically is something that antioxidants do, and we offer the same thing with pop herrings with the 8 different superfoods, which are antioxidants. So this that can help. If you're feeding the wild Alaskan salmon oil, using the pop herrings will do exactly the same as what the krill oil says that will do. Okay, Patry's wild salmon oil is also minimally processed, and it's processed in a human-grade facility that processes the fillets, the salmon fillets for humans, and then it processes the oil for us. Whereas krill oil is much more sensitive than salmon oil. So basically that needs to be processed immediately on the boat, on the ocean, because it's much more sensitive and can go bad, go rancid much faster. Okay, so there's a difference in processing. And Patry's wild Alaskan salmon oil is 100% absolutely tested for contaminants. And these are heavy metals like mercury and lead and cadmium and antimony. So no salmon oil is shipped from the plant to us, to our warehouse, unless it has been tested and confirmed that there is no detectable amount of any contaminants in the oil. So it is perfectly fine, it is perfectly safe. We test for contaminants, and sometimes when people say things on the internet, it doesn't apply to everybody. And I'm glad we have this training today because this has been coming up a little bit lately. So I just wanted to make sure that you guys understand we test for everything. Safety is our #1 concern, truly, in our company. I am now going to, because we are just about out of time. Sorry, it went fast tonight. I'm going to look in the chat to see if there's anything I can answer. Let's see. Yes, I hate scare tactics too. I agree with you. Let's see. Dog sometimes skips her meal or eats later than served. How long do the organisms live once exposed to air and moisture? Okay, so this is from Joe. If I'm understanding correctly, so basically, if you were to, what we tell people is, if you were to take the Gastro Pro Plus and take the capsule out of the backing, okay, which keeps it, safe and secure and free from air and etc. When you take that out and you open it up and let's just say you're sprinkling it on your food and you're only sprinkling a half a capsule. We say to take the capsule, put it back together, and put that capsule, not everything else, just that capsule in the refrigerator, so that the organisms do not die off. So I'm not 100% sure, Joe, if you have sprinkled it all on the food and the dog isn't eating right away, or if I've just answered your question. But bottom line is they should be fine for a good, yes, the first. So I think it's okay. So basically if you sprinkled it on the food, just save the rest of it and just refrigerate it just to make sure that the organisms are fine, and they'll be fine for a good 24 to 48 hours. Let's see, let me try and catch these things. I'm sorry, you guys, in chat. Okay, elephant skin in dogs. I don't know the answer to that. I would need to look that up. If that is something that you truly want to know, Elaine, please send it into support and I'll find out the answer for you, but I don't know the answer off the top of my head. Oh, Joe, oh, okay, I see. So you sprinkled it on the food and they didn't eat it until dinner. It's probably going to be okay. It's probably going to be okay. It's more ideal, obviously, if they eat it right away, but you're probably all right. But I can double check on that as well for you, Joe. Okay, so I think we are now, yes, at time. So I want to thank you guys all for joining the call, and I will say good night and have a good night. Thank you guys. Bye-bye.